Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be telling you guys the story of Emily, Sagee, and her ghostly twin. So this was a girl who had a twin that was a ghost, but she was unaware of it for a long time. So stay tuned, watch through the whole video because the end is shocking. I know I didn't sound very convincing, but yes, the end is weird, so yeah, watch through the whole video. So Emily, as a kid, was very withdrawn. She didn't talk to people in the village. She didn't talk to any other kids. A lot of people described her as seeing her with her twin, which was weird because she didn't have a twin. She didn't play with anybody else but what they thought was her twin. This twin would mimic her motions. Like, if she's sitting there bouncing a ball, like going like this with her hand, that's what the twin would be doing, but obviously there'd be no ball. So, one thing that they thought was kind of weird was that Emily seemed like she was unaware of the twin. She didn't seem like she knew that it was there. So Emily was kept very isolated. She was kept isolated, like kept away from the world so nobody could see. Her parents hired tutors for her to come teach her so that she wouldn't be seen. Her parents made a big effort to keep her secret away, because if anybody found out, she'd be called the devil, she'd be called the witch, like some weird stuff, because people were very superstitious back then in the 1800s. Everything was the devil to them. So Emily's family owned a bakery, and the family was very well known. So this was another reason why they were keeping it away, because like I said, if they found out that their family would be very impacted. Emily's siblings were very aware of the ghostly twin, and they even got used to it and seeing it. Due to the people in this time, they were very superstitious and closed-minded. The family never brought it up to her. She never knew about it until later in life. They never spoke of it, and they did everything in their power to protect Emily. Emily Sagee was a French teacher. She's worked at 19 schools in 16 years. Nobody knew why. Nobody knew what happened, because she was such a good teacher. She was a great teacher. She had great teaching skills, but she was unable to hold the job. In 1845, the teacher, the school, the people, they all found out why she couldn't keep the job. Emily was said to have a doppelganger, which what they're calling it was a paranormal doppelganger. This twin was considered to be paranormal. And like I said, Emily Sagee did not have a twin. She never seen her twin. Yeah, and then others around her had claimed to see her twin on numerous occasions. People who witnessed the doppelganger's appearance described Emily as zoned out and appearing powerless in the presence of this ghost or paranormal doppelganger. I honestly think that it was paranormal, because if you don't know, ghosts and paranormal entities take energy from other things to manifest themselves. So I think that's what this this doppelganger was doing to her, taking energy from herself, from her, making her powerless, and manifesting itself. So, going back to 1845, Emily landed a teaching position in an all-girls school. The first time Emily students became aware of the ghostly twin was in a teaching of 13 girls. Emily began writing on a chalkboard, and then her twin manifested and started writing on the chalkboard as well, without chalk in his hand, obviously. And the twin seemed to be very real to the children. They said it looked just like a person. They thought it was a person. Like, it wasn't like an astral projection. People thought it was an astral projection, but it wasn't like hologram or something. It was like, it looked like a real person. So, except for the fact that the twin being writing on the chalkboard, as Emily did not have chalk in its hand. Shortly after the encounter, Emily was said to have another ghostly twin encounter. She was sitting at the dinner table eating, and the ghostly twin would be behind her, mocking Emily's motions. Again, no utensils in the twin's hand. As time went on, the ghostly twin began to almost take on a life of its own. It started doing things on its own, in different rooms, on its own. It was no longer mimicking Emily. It would appear doing something completely different from Emily. Emily could be washing dishes, and the twin would be in another room reading a book. Then it was said that Emily's ghostly twin even started appearing separately from Emily. Emily could be in one room, the twin could be in a completely different room. This was not a normal pattern for the ghost, because the ghost would always mimic what it was doing in the same room. So it was a different kind of behavior for the ghost. But what was really odd about the whole situation was that Emily could be thinking about doing something, and that's what the ghost would be doing. So she could be washing dishes, but she'd be thinking about, I wish I was reading a book. And that's where it would come in, where the ghost was doing something else. People thought it was astral projection, but it wasn't. Emily was controlling her twin at this point, not the other way around. And this leads up to the strangest occurrence that happened to the all-girls school that she taught at. It was said to be witnessed by 50 students. Basically, Emily was in the garden, attending to the garden, and there was a sewing class, and she's like, man, I wish I was teaching that sewing class. The teacher in the sewing class walks out of the classroom, and Emily's twin walks in. Well, this twin sits next to a group of girls, and they think, they didn't think much of it because, it's just Emily sitting next to us. Well, then another student sees Emily out in the garden, tending to the garden, and they kind of freak out. Well, a very brave student, I say brave because I would be gone, long gone, I would never come back. The brave student went to touch it and put its hand through it. Well, this student says that it felt empty, like cobwebs. And so the students weren't scared because Emily was a great teacher. They said she was phenomenal. But then the students started telling the parents, and that's where everything went bad for Emily. The parents got scared and started complaining to the school. The school didn't do anything about it because Emily was such a great teacher. She was so passionate about her job, and the students weren't scared of her. So they didn't do anything about it. But once the parents started withdrawing their students from the school started losing their money, and they had no choice but to fire her. Everybody thought that she was going to go and get another job, be a teacher somewhere else. But except that was the last time that anybody ever seen her. Nobody seen her after that. Nobody heard from her. Nothing. there was no death records showing that she passed away. And the question is, what happened to Emili Sagee? Nobody knows. Some believe that she changed her name. But the story of Emili Sagee leaves so many questions. So many questions. Was she astral projection? Was she just a doppelganger? Was she paranormal? Nobody knows. But I personally think that, like I said, I think she was paranormal. But yeah, tell me what you guys think in the comments, because like there's opinions and I want to hear your opinions. And if you've watched this far, thank you. If you skipped, I mean, thank you. You still did something, you interacted with the video. But so like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and yeah.